Welcome to Slightly Off Script, the marriage show where we remind you that marriage can be stupid good and wicked fun. I'm one of your hosts, Bethany Needham, here with, I didn't think it ahead as to what I was going to title you this time, so you're just going to be Andy.
Just Andy.
Just Andy, I'm sorry.
Wow.
I drew a blank.
I don't know what I prefer. I feel like you were getting a little weak with your creative ideas, so I'm not surprised that you're out of them.
Yeah, it was weak sauce and it was going to be so bad. And then I just froze. I'm sorry.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's been a doozy of a day, but here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Isn't it sometimes just weird how life is?
Yeah. Yeah. I literally was thinking about this as we're setting up, getting ready to do this podcast. And I was like, sometimes life just is not bad, but just crazy. The things that we are involved in right now, like
we're turning over our in-law apartment, so we got contractors coming in, stuff's coming, stuff's going.
Oh my goodness. And then we're like, got to go record a podcast after both of us had like our full days of work, which is, you know, doing all the things. Again, I think it's like a lot of good things, but sometimes it just makes me laugh.
We had a great weekend though.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We got to go to New York. New York.
Not to the city.
New York.
Upstate.
Upstate. How do they talk? I don't even know.
I don't know.
But upstate New York. And we went to a conference with some of just our favorite people.
Great conference. They did an awesome job. We got to hear some great speakers, which were phenomenal.
I'm still thinking about those messages. Actually, I meant to tell you that I want to get the recordings of those to listen to again.
And I realize, especially when it comes to breakout sessions, I am much more a fan of co-teaching than teaching a breakout on my own. We're so fun.
You like doing it with me?
Yeah, it's been a while. We kind of repurposed some material that we've had before, adapted a few things, but like once we got into it, like I felt like we were grooving. I don't know. I was having fun. I don't know how other people were doing, but
it was fun for us. I don't know about them.
Yeah.
No, I actually thought that there have been times in the past when we have, because we co-hosted as well.
Yep.
And there's been times in the past where we have done that where it has been rough, like because we've done it individually, but trying to find a rhythm. And this weekend, I felt like we were in our groove.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, for me, to be honest, part of it was that I wasn't in charge of everything.
Yeah.
So I could kind of focus on doing a few things well rather than trying to do everything. And that sometimes gets me in trouble.
Yeah, but it's not like you're the weak link when it doesn't go well. It's in both of us. So, but no, I felt like we were grooving. We were, I don't know, in sync and better than the band. And it was a good time. So I loved it.
That's great. So we've been thinking about what to talk about on upcoming episodes. And this episode is going to be our last episode before a holiday break, by the way.
'Cause it's holiday season.
That's right.
Guys, you just have to know I need to focus because this is...
The margin that will be given up from the podcast will be invested in decorating.
Oh my goodness. I am so eager and it's killing me that I don't have the bandwidth or energy during the week to do it because I would have.
I think I'm going to allow and maybe even help with breaking a wall that has always been there for us that we're going to go through. Do you know what that is?
No, but I'm excited. Does it have to do with the holidays?
We're going to take phase 1 of outdoor lights.
Yes. I was hoping you'd say that. Guys, this is
phase 1. We're not doing, this is not Christmas vacation.
Doesn't even matter. This is my dream to start doing lights on the outside
which
of
no
the
one will
house.
see because we live on a dead end street.
I will see them every time I pull in, and I promise you it will just bring joy to my heart every time I pull up and see lights. So, and maybe our neighbors will see.
Okay. Before we get into our topic today.
Okay.
What's your vision? Like, where are we going with this?
Oh,
like aesthetic?
With the lights outside?
Yeah.
Like the long term or just phase 1?
Phase 1, I'm picturing like the front little landing, wrapping the poles, doing a couple of the little shrubs there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We're not bringing in a crane, okay? It's just like,
no, so
hey, Comcast, could you swing by?
So here's the thing with Christmas lights. I appreciate all of our, like to drive around. I actually like the crazy. In fact, your sister and brother-in-law do epic Christmas lights on their house, and I love it. I think, but for whatever reason, when I have always imagined doing it on my own house, and this would be a first for us, like in all the places we've lived, we've never done outside lights. I actually love a very classic white lights. I love wreaths on the windows, like especially in the colonial style, that kind of very just classic, which is just funny because when I drive around, I love the crazy, like colored lights. And that's the debate with Christmas, right? Are you colored lights or white lights? So I lean white lights. And so for me, long term, I picture just sort of outlining the house, the roof, whatever, with white lights, and it just being very simple and pretty. And I love it.
So, what are we talking about today?
Depression. Dun, dun, dun.
But you're an outgoing, happy person, so you would have no idea what this is.
I know, right? It's like exercise produces endorphins. Endorphins make people happy. Happy people don't kill people.
What is that
Name
from?
that movie.
I don't have no idea.
Really? Oh, it's oh gosh, now I just said that.
You're surprised I don't know the movie and that you don't
No,
know the
I
name?
do know the movie. Hold on,
Ooh.
hold on. Hold on. Legally Blonde. Thank you. Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde.
Yes.
Yeah, not on my top 10. Sorry.
Really? I am surprised. Yeah, no, I actually think this is a good conversation. I mean, yes, on a marriage podcast, but in general, I think having honest conversations about that sometimes it's okay to not be okay. And I think we're going to talk about that today and how does that show up in marriage on both sides, being the person that's not okay. And then how do you love your spouse when maybe they're going through a rough time? So,
Yeah, every person has a different experience with this topic, both individually and obviously as a couple. Part of what brought this on in the recent history, as I was just telling you, I mean, we've had daylight savings, we've had a lot of cold here, and the first waves is sort of that seasonal thing. I was just like owning the other morning. I was feeling a little melancholy.
yeah.
Not like all the time, but just kind of owning that and acknowledging, which I think is a good thing to do. And sometimes when we know what's going on, we're probably doing okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about sometimes depression is actually not necessarily feeling down, but just not being able to feel. So,
Yeah.
so let's talk a little bit about the landscape. And again, we're coming at this from a perspective of lived experience, right? This is not the clinical perspective on it. There's a lot of medical research on this, but there's a broad spectrum of experiences that people can have. And it could be everything from seasonal.
They refer to it as SAD, which stands for seasonal affective disorder, is kind of the terminology for that type of depression or just, again, feeling sad.
And then there's obviously clinical depression.
Yep.
Which is much deeper, it's longer, it can affect anyone, anytime. And then there's sort of just melancholy. That could be emotional, it could be spiritual, it could be relational. And it's sort of like just a heaviness.
Yeah.
That's probably a good word for it. But any other language you'd use around that?
No, I think the other thing that comes to mind is this really is like a broad, in terms of feeling down. We're going to touch on some things, but there'll be things, one, that are beyond our scope. Like I think about even the clinical depression side, there's sort of the chemical imbalance conversation. There's also hormonal issues that could be part of the conversation. There's
Even genetic.
It could be like a response to a traumatic event or loss, postpartum, things like that. So we're, I guess, out the gate, we are never going to be able to cover all the different arenas. So this will definitely be sort of more of our experience.
Yeah, I think that one of the things I do want to clarify, though, is that sometimes we can attach our mood to our morality and tether those two things together. So if we're feeling great about life, if we're ready to carpe diem, own the world, if we're locking down our habits and we're making it happen, if we're exercising like whoever that girl, Reese Witherspoon in Legally Blonde, my favorite movie. I'm just kidding. No, but we can attach our temperament to sort of how we feel like God sees us or how we see ourselves in relation to God. And that's a very bad way to think about things. That sadness is actually a very human experience. It's part of our limitations. I just preached a sermon about Jesus in Gethsemane. There's a reality that Jesus was desperate and he was moved to tears. And that is a human reality that every single person, honestly, if you never feel sad, stop doing drugs. No. I think that sometimes we can self-medicate ourselves so that we're trying to not feel our feelings.
Yeah. Feel your feelings, but know the truth.
So let's talk about our early marriage. I feel like I probably wasn't as aware of my own emotions and feelings in my immaturity, but you had a lot of challenging realities having children very young. You have a family history of depression. And again, I knew you, like many people do, as this very outgoing, upbeat, life of the party kind of person. And so, yeah, it was a little bit surprising to find out that depression would be a part of your story. How did you experience that?
So my first experience that I remember, it was my year at Bible school. So I would have been 17 or 18 years old, and I had quite a stretch where I was really struggling, just feeling down. And I remember talking to you on the phone. We were just dating at the time, and you actually asked, like, "Hey, do you think you're fighting depression right now? Like, this seems like this has been going on for a while." And so that for me was a difficult thing to even, I guess, think about, because I had grown up in a family where this was something that I had witnessed, like something that in my family, depression was a thing. And I was a little bit afraid of it. Like, it scared me. But I would say my first really difficult experience with clinical depression, which postpartum depression specifically, was after, I think I had experienced it after Josiah, but definitely after Mercy. I mean, they're less than 2 years apart. The thing that I learned that, at least for me, it surprised me, was Mercy was actually over a year old when I went and saw a doctor about it. In my mind, postpartum was something that was like immediately after you have a baby, like within, and for some people it is. But yeah, Mercy was over a year old, and how it showed up for me wasn't actually necessarily sadness, and that also kind of caught me off guard. It was almost like I just felt numb all the time in a really disturbing way, like very numb towards our kids, not very, like, just very off, and struggled with very like basic tasks of taking care of the kids and bathing them, and I knew that I loved them, but it's like I couldn't make myself feel anything. And so that was the first time that I actually sought professional help for my depression. Went and saw a doctor. In that case, the doctor actually sent me to a nutritionist, who then encouraged me to start going to a gym. That's when like my whole fitness thing began, which I will say, looking back, I'm like, what an amazing doctor to just immediately look at it like, let's look at this holistically and what can we do here? And yeah, that was probably for me, the first time that I remember feeling kind of knocked down. Like I don't know, taken out of the game for a while because of depression. Like I was not able to just function at a basic level. Like my mom came and stayed with us to help. It was pretty serious.
Yeah. And I think like one of the first things that we want to do is like remove some of the shame there, because on the one hand, there are things, as you mentioned, that we can do to sort of increase our possibility. Sort of, I think of it like cultivating the garden, like we're doing the things that can give us the best chance to have the best outcomes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like doing those things, or sometimes we struggle to do them because we don't want to, like that shouldn't be a cause of shame. And it's not like we're not algorithms as humans, like we are humans. And so there's a lot more complexity to that. But as the person in that instance, on the other side of it, one, there's a sense of helplessness because the desire is to fix. That's a very honestly God-given desire in many regards, especially as a man, which is the only experience I can speak to. But you want to guard your family, you want to cherish your wife, you want to take care of, you want to be the provider, and you want to be the one who can create the best environment. It can feel shameful being the other person in the relationship when one person is depressed, because it feels like you're letting them down, like you didn't do a good enough job creating a good environment for them to thrive in. And then that instinct can cause a lot of dysfunction, but one of them is that sort of like that intuition towards fixing can become almost an obstacle. Like it becomes a distraction to the things that are going to actually provide health. So I don't know. Is that fair?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that was an instance where I'm sure for you, some of it was just, I don't know what else to do, but my mom was wonderful in that season. I still remember talking to her, sitting on the floor of the kids' bedroom and her checking in on me and asking some questions. Again, in retrospect, she was trying to figure out like, how bad is this right now? And my answers gave her all the information she needed, I guess, because she told me that she was going to call you and ask if it was okay. Like, she was respectful to you, but she had called you, can I come? And you were like, yes, please. Just, I need help.
You obviously mentioned medical professionals. So one of the things you already can kind of see here is like part of the pathway for you, there was a sense of community. Like one of our values is community. And that was a part of your journey with depression.
Oh, yeah. And my mom had walked through it before. So one of the things I remember this being very helpful is I really was having a hard time putting words to what I needed or what would be helpful. And also, everything was stirring shame for me because it was unknown. I didn't understand what was happening. And my mom was one of those people during that time that was able to, in some ways, be like, hey, I know you're feeling this and it's okay. It's okay to not be okay right now. I felt seen, and also like it did feel like somebody understood what I couldn't put words to. And then she helped sort of map out a plan because I just didn't know where to go from there. And she was actually the one that said, first, we're going to call the doctor. We're going to set up an appointment. She actually sent us away for a couple of nights. She's like, I want you guys just let her rest. And I remember her instructing you, like, for me not to make any decisions. Like, decisions are very difficult. So you, from everything to what you eat, like, don't be afraid to just make the decision. I felt very loved. It wasn't like I was instantly healed, but it actually was sort of this instant relief of, okay, I'm not okay right now, but finally had this hope of, I am going to be okay.
It's almost as if you were socked in with fog and then the sun started to burn off.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't have words.
Yeah.
But if I had them,
It's a good phrase.
Those would not be the words that I would use.
See previous episodes if you're new.
Oh.
I feel like part of it for me is like a lot of things. Parenting is this way, marriage is this way. There's a lot of things where you kind of have to fail forward.
Yeah.
As a spouse, you're going to have to try some things to help your spouse through depression or whatever challenges. And you're going to well, that wasn't the thing to do. And you just need to have sort of resilience and a self-awareness of feedback loops and also not being starving for. I think one of the things I struggle for is I not only don't want to fix, I want the affirmation that I help fix. Yeah. And when you're in depression, it's like that feedback loop is not going to go well. I tend to type as an Enneagram 3.
An achiever.
An achiever who needs the affirmation. And as the spouse on the other side, that's just not going to be more than likely what you're going to get a lot of when you're trying in vain to help fix the other person. But I want to put a pin, though, in one other thing that you said here and explore. Because you mentioned a medical professional, and thank God you got somebody who was holistic in thinking, who gave you really good advice. But over the years, and this is true of other mental health journeys that our families walk through, we've had experiences that have been amazing. We've had other experiences we're not lining up here. We're not opposed to medicine, but they're overly quick to prescribe something, not hearing you, not hearing advocacy. So what counsel would you give to somebody if they were walking through specifically depression, they seek medical counsel, and they feel like it's not going great?
It's a really good question. This is a tough one that I have faced in many conversations with friends who have walked this road because so much depends on where you live, insurance, who's available to you. There's just a lot of variables. As simplistic as it sounds, first and foremost, if I'm speaking to a believer, I would encourage them to just pray that God opens the door to the right doctor and the right therapist. And that has been, I have experienced God answer that prayer for me again and again. And I think it's also helped me to pray in terms of decreasing my overwhelm when I've looked at lists of doctors and been like, how do you even know? And then the other side is it's a little bit like dating. If you choose a doctor or a therapist, especially, this is not a lifetime commitment to this therapist. I have had therapists that I have met with once, and it was very clear that, and it's not a bash on the therapist. I actually think it sort of does work like
Yeah.
dating. You vibe with some people and other people you don't. And so I would say go in with the mindset of this might not be a one and done. Like this may take different, depending on the season. The other thing is, I think there's certain doctors for certain times, certain seasons. I have had therapists that were great for a while, and then it's sort of, in some ways, I graduated from that, and that wasn't necessarily the right therapist the next time that I came around to like, oh, I need to find, because there's different kinds of therapy for different things depending on what you're looking for.
Yeah. I don't, in no ways would I advocate being cynical about medical solutions, because I think it's one of the things God, like, I love how you said, pray for God to give us the right person, because there's an aspect of faith that ties into even using the resources of the medical community. So don't be cynical, but there is like a healthy skepticism that we could have, because, and that some of it's just the limitations of science, limitations of the medical system, limitations of the human on the other side of the table who is a human, and understanding that they can only go off of what you tell them. Mm-hmm. There's a time constraint to it. And then there's also, like, when it comes into, we're not going to do a deep dive on medicine, but even in that world, there is a little bit of like, it's kind of an experiment, because they don't know your full body chemistry.
Yep.
And you're gonna have to try things and they may not work. And we've been through that journey many times.
Yeah. And I think it is important to find, when you're finding medical professionals, whether that be your PCP, you're a therapist, a holistic, like functional medicine doctor, whatever that is, finding somebody that you can build trust with. And then the other side is, I do think we have our own responsibility to do the research, because a doctor has how many patients that they have to consider. And so to put everything on that doctor, like that they need to look at all the fine print, like take your time where need be to do the research. Because
how do we do that though without going down becoming a WebMD, like everything is cancer? Cancer,
I don't necessarily mean the side of like the symptoms of your mental health. I'm actually thinking more, if you're looking in terms of medication, I do think researching medication and potential side effects and how long has this medication been around, it's important to know those things. I have chosen to go on medications and chosen to not go on medications because there were side effects that I wasn't wanting to risk. It felt like the risk was higher than the reward. And when it comes to mental health medication, to be honest, there's a lot of side effects that can happen. My experience is it's important to do research on that. And some people I'm never taking medication, and that's people's decision to make. But taking the time to research them, ask your doctor for like research material. Hey, tell me some things about this. What do I need to look out for? And then, I feel like you could go way down this road.
I think though, like, this is another area where discernment's needed, because the rabbit hole can go to dark places as well. You got to be careful about sort of the, I don't know, internet side of things too. Like, just be discerning on that. So, yeah.
Well, and it comes back full circle. Like, this is a journey that needs to be bathed in prayer. Like, God, give me wisdom, give me discernment, and everything from, like, today, for instance, I have a functional medicine doctor that has been incredibly helpful for me. And that doctor, her name, out of all the functional medicine doctors that I could research, as I was praying that God would, one, provide a right doctor for me, but two, that I prayed, could it be covered by insurance, like make it an affordable option. And I have no doubt that it was God. In every conversation that I reached out to friends, this woman's name came up multiple times. And it was just kind of that, again.
Now people are going to ask you for that's fine.
If you live in the area, you can reach out. I'm happy to share her name. But again, she's right for me right now. It might not be for other people. So
what were things outside of medicine and the medical world that you feel like were important for you, whether it's relationally or for your emotional health or physical health? What were some of the other things that you feel like have been important for you?
For my mental health?
in terms of depression?
Yeah. Gyms for me, I've invested in personal trainers at different times. I've invested in going to gyms that had fun classes at certain times, but basically movement and finding ways to do that, keep my body moving. Again, I mentioned that doctor sent me to a nutritionist. So things in that realm have been really helpful. Sometimes for me, it's just been having one or two friends that are safe friends that I know that I can reach out to, because if I've been in really, really dark seasons, being around a lot of people has just been really challenging.
I like that you said movement too, because I think sometimes when we're like, we want to go from like depression to like the best fitness of our life. What I love is the idea that like movement, like not being sedentary, and just like, I love the idea that you talked about like finding a fun class to
Yeah.
do. Like that's a great kind of tip there, because the goal is like, hey, can I just have consistent movement in my life?
Yeah. I don't know that this is across the board, but I will say for me, when I am wrestling with depression at any level, usually the thing that is most helpful is the thing I want to do the least. And the thing that I want to do the most is usually the thing that is the least helpful. And so often my emotions tell me that I want to doom scroll and I want to just sleep all day or eat a bunch of junk food. And I could do those things. And again, I think there's grace in those. Sometimes you have those moments. But what I've come to learn is when I give into those emotions for any length of time, it actually feeds the sadness. And the times when I have pushed myself to like, you know what, rather than doing this, I'm going to put on my sneakers. And I have a thing sometimes where I'm like, I'm just going to walk to the end of the road and back, which, what is our road? Like a 1/10 of a mile, maybe? Yeah. It's almost nothing. But sometimes that 1/10 of a mile makes all the difference for me. And it seems silly. Also, again, these are just personal things, but when I'm feeling that sort of spiral, I just want, woe is me, I want to sleep all day, I will get in the shower and I'll take a longer shower and, use the nice body wash and all the things. And sometimes just that one thing, because in my mind, it's saying the last thing I want to do is get in the shower right now. And it's sort of for me that flag of like, that's the thing that actually is going to make me feel better.
I love that. Let's flip to another little part of this, which is things you should not say to your spouse when they're depressed. Also known as things Andy has said to Bethany.
Just stop it. Just stop being depressed. Staying away from reminding them of just how much you have to be happy about. Like, why would you be sad when look at all this
great husband?
Yeah. Like, if you want to just heap shame on them, like, in case you're wondering, people are already feeling like, I have so much to be thankful for. Why do I feel this way? Yeah. They definitely don't need that help.
You touched on this already, but I would say asking them to make decisions. Like, what do you want? What's going to help you?
Yeah.
I have a pause there because I just said, how can I help you? And I think that there's a way you can offer that, but the person might not know. And if they don't, abandon that tactic.
Yeah. And this would go as one of those things, like it depends on the person's situation, but I've heard it advised, and I have been on the receiving end of this, and I will say it can be difficult, but it was helpful, is I've had friends that just decided something to do to help and did the thing. Like, hey, I'm dropping off a meal. And like, basically there was no question for me. Now I say it's hard because there is a side where you feel guilty. People are doing things for you, but I've had friends clean my bathrooms, like show up and clean my house, stuff like that. That was one of those things I never would have asked somebody to do that. And I struggled with even letting them. But in the end, that actually was a really helpful thing. So it's a delicate balance. Not everyone wants you showing up and doing stuff. But if you have a close relationship, I would say maybe just pick something simple to do if you want to be helpful or loving, and don't ask them, just do it out of love.
Yeah. I think it's asking from the person that's the problem. Like, why aren't you doing this? Why wouldn't this? Don't you love me? That is obviously just a bad set of tactics. I do think of that meal example that you used. And I would say, if I were to approach that, I would be like, hey, I'm dropping off a meal at your house. You can eat it. You can stick it in the freezer, or you can throw it in the trash, but it's available to you.
Yeah.
And being able to kind of give the person like permission
Yes.
to not like receive, they can receive it on their own terms,
Yes.
but I am pressing in. I'm not being passive here. However, I give you permission. You have an off ramp.
Yeah.
I think that that is generally the way that I would try to approach the things. And I think that as I've gotten a little bit more mature as a husband over 23 years,
Yeah.
I've tried to be a little bit more that way. Like, hey, I'm making dinner. It's one of your favorite things. If you decide not to eat it, I'm not going to be insulted. It's available. It'll be there tomorrow. And if it's still there the next day, I'm eating it for lunch, and tough on you.
Usually stop being sad.
Stop it. Yeah, but I think in marriage, finding, like you mentioned, the shower thing, and that's not where I'm going.
He's like, I feel better too.
That's a different podcast. But there are things that I know that you enjoy. And like one of them is the store Lush sells this little thing called Scrubby.
Oh, yes. If you've never tried it.
Yeah. Buy your wife Scrubby.
Shout
Go
out
to the
for the
Lush at the
Scrubby.
mall. If you have one near you, buy her Scrubby.
It looks like a bumblebee, and it's like
Yeah.
what is it? A body scrub bar.
It smells amazing.
Yeah.
And I know you love that. And like, I think that those little kind of gifts, like one of my love languages is giving you gifts, but finding those gifts, we've talked before, like the Target gift package.
Yeah.
Which, you want to explain what that is?
There have been times, and it's usually actually when I'm feeling sad or been down, that you will go to Target and you walk around and look for things that you think I'll like or that make you think of me, and you put together a little basket. It's not like crazy, but
It's not even a basket. It's just a Target bag.
yeah, and then you bring it home in the Target bag, and I love it. Sometimes there's like, I don't want to admit everything, like People magazine, stuff like that, or like my favorite candy, or like a face mask, just stuff like that. That's
I've learned the face mask is not your jam, because I was cleaning out the bathroom closet one time and I'm like,
I have so many.
there's so many face masks in here.
It's true. I'm weird about
Are
putting.
you insulted that I might use face masks?
No, I am weird about skin products. I get nervous about them, my like skin reacting. I'm a very simple
It's
skin
fair.
product girl. So.
I didn't spend a lot on any of them, so I don't blame you.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that. I'd not mentioned the face mask.
All right, note to self: do not buy a face mask. But that's, I mean, the idea of like simple pleasures that you know the other person enjoys, and again, being willing to provide those things if you're the spouse that's not struggling, in a way that's not like, wasn't it great that I did that for you? Like, just let it be, and let it kind of show. You may not get the affirmation of the act of kindness, but that's part of the whole playing the long game.
Yeah. So I have a question.
Ooh.
Because we've talked about, my deep, dark depressions. What about in a marriage where both people are not doing well? It's we talked about, if your spouse, how do you love them? How do you serve them? But what about when both of you are feeling down? It could be a combination of, maybe it's a depression, maybe it's, just seasonal, whatever that is.
Well,
how do you love each other?
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
For one, I think that's the starting point, is like just being comfortable with the fact that one of the first people that have ever walked through this challenge, as difficult and dark as it is. I think finding small ways to, like, there are times when you can't put gasoline on the flame of your marriage, but you need to find ways, even small ways, to just be like, hey, I'm not doing great, you're not doing great, but I'm still in this.
Yeah.
And are there ways that you can like just put a little bit of breath on the flame and just kind of like blow on it a little bit, even if this is not fireworks and, amazing, fighting for certain disciplines. Season of life is going to be difficult. You have two little kids running around at this time, but like, hey, we're not going to like both stay up super late at night in separate rooms. Like, we're going to try to synchronize our bedtimes. Sometimes when you're not feeling well, you want to sleep a ton, but fighting for each other and getting healthy sleep, and maybe at a less of a frequency, but not abandoning some form of physical intimacy in your marriage. Like, don't let it become a desert that goes on for months.
Yeah.
Scripture says there is a time that we may abstain from that in marriage, but the purpose of that is prayer. And it could be in the sense in the midst of the time when you're not doing well, that you do kind of agree like, hey, this is not going to be our honeymoon.
Yeah.
But I do think I would encourage couples to still be intentional, because there's so many things that in life that we have to practice them before we feel them.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of truth when you're both not doing well, that you need to practice affirmation even when you don't feel it. You need to practice intimacy even when you don't feel it, ensuring that you're not in a point where like that is going to become a barren place.
Yeah.
I think also guarding what are the wells that you're going to fill the emptiness that you feel. We all have different vices, so to speak, but we'll try to self-medicate. And this is a place that could put danger into your marriage. And I have too many people that I know, some of them who are friends, who have lost their marriages, not necessarily because of the drift or the depression, but because of the things that they try to do to self-medicate and feel better that weren't holistic. What do you think? Anything to add?
A couple of really specific examples that I'm just thinking of that we have done together. One is that walk that I talked about.
Oh, yeah.
There's been many times where we kind of drag each other out of the house, or we take turns like dragging each other when neither of us, because we just know like, hey, this will be good for both of us. Let's put on our sneakers and let's go for a walk. And so that's been one of them. Not at a really heavy level, because this was not like a depressed night, but I will say last night was an example to me of the sweetness of, we both had kind of a rough day, and we were just talking openly like, man, we're struggling, like, and we weren't struggling at each other or against each other. We just had both kind of gone through the ringer, and we're like, you know what? Let's order takeout and put on a show and relax and sort of take the pressure off productivity tonight and all of these things, and let this be okay. Like, let's just rest together. And I don't know about you, but for me, a night that could have easily just been a really difficult, came off a hard day, actually was just a really sweet time being next to you, feeling no pressure to kind of, I don't know, entertain or whatever, and just enjoyed hanging out with you and being okay that we weren't okay, but we were not okay together.
That pizza took forever to get here. It was also funny because you say that it sounds like this like really glorious thing. We had somebody who had to come and drop off some stuff at our house last night, and then it took like an hour and 15 minutes for the cold pizza to show up, and then we had to warm it back up again. We kind of laughed about it last night. We're like, this is just not going awesome.
Yeah.
But it's good. A lot of things that could become vices are actually not terrible if they're done in moderate. Like, hey, sitting down and watching Netflix and eating some potato chips, that is sometimes like the best thing you could do for a night. It's a terrible thing to do for a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for real. And finding those spaces to like, hey, we're going to do this right now. And this is, we're not digging a trench and this is where we're going to hang. But for tonight, this is where we're going to be. And we're going to eat our vegetables tomorrow and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So.
And then just melancholy, being honest with yourself, being honest with your spouse about that. I feel like it provided me with some freedom, even just saying that to you the other morning, where it's like, hey, more than normal, I'm feeling this.
Yeah.
And not that it like solved it, but it did kind of like give me a sense of freedom. So.
And I would say in terms of, we talk about helping one another and how we look out for others, the personal responsibility side, at least for me, some of my growth in this has been that I think for a long time, because I recognized that I could struggle with depression, that I would allow a sad day to be like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Like everything.
Here we go again.
Yeah. Like we're going in. And I have learned to sort of check myself on some things in some ways to have different categories. A bad day does not mean that I'm depressed and that this is spiraling. Like sometimes it's okay that it's just, hey, it's just a bad day. Or if I'm starting to feel something as sort of a pattern, to actually check myself in things. This is what I learned through that doctor. Like, hey, what am I eating right now? Am I moving my body? What does my sleep look like? How much screen time?
Yep.
Because I think there's a personal responsibility of things that are within not just our control, but what we should be accountable to and being stewards of our body. And sometimes just decisions like that, like, hey, I need to actually get to bed on time. I am not sleeping enough. So yeah, I'm feeling off, or I haven't eaten a vegetable in a month, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Let's do what we can do and be aware, because the other thing is, I don't think it's fair in marriage for me to be relying on you, or just constantly
That's an unhealthy codependence. It's not.
Yeah,
That's
like
God's
I'm
design
down,
for
I'm
the
sad, I'm
covenant.
everything else, but I'm just treating myself like garbage, and I'm basically creating this situation that now I'm like, now
Well,
you take care of
and
it.
then that's where the enemy will get into, like, well, maybe I'm not happy in this marriage. All that kind of stuff
Yeah.
can easily become part of that there. So yeah, I don't think this is any way comprehensive, but I do think this is hopefully helpful. It's helpful to me to kind of go back through some of these realities. And yeah, what would be a prayer that you would offer if someone is feeling this right now? Like, what would you pray?
If someone's feeling
Depression.
I think my prayer for that person is that they would know, first and foremost, that God's presence with them, his love for them, exactly where they're at. One of the things I needed to learn and be reminded of in my darkest moments was that God was not waiting for me on the other side, that he was with me, holding me and loving me in the darkest of hours, and that my depression wasn't a sin against God, that this was something that his heart broke for. And so my prayer would be them just knowing God's love and care and compassion for them. And then just a prayer that God would reveal to them the right people, that those people in their life that they can be honest and open with, and that they wouldn't try and walk that journey alone, but they would allow people into it and allow people to love them and help them and support them.
That's a good word. I think it's a good place to wrap up today. Thanks for being real.
Yeah.
You have a lot of wisdom.
Well, I don't know about that, but I have a lot of depression.
I have a lot of depression, but
I will say, just because you brought it up, and I think it's important, people that appear the bubbly, happy, do not fall prey to that lie that just because people are upbeat and extrovert and everything else, because all of those things are true, and it is authentically me, that I am a very, like, I'm not faking the energy, that is who I am. But what is also true is I do wrestle with these things, and I think that I am not an anomaly. Like, there are a lot of people out there that sometimes they struggle with being honest about it, because they feel like it almost feels inauthentic, because they tend to be very joyful people. But I think those things can very much exist.
This is why you're going to be a great stand-up comedian, because you have, you have childhood stories and challenges there. You have depression. You had to be married to me for like 20 plus years.
So much material.
So much material. So look forward to her Netflix special coming out in 2030. But for now, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.